Wake up. It's time to use your mojo. Wake up. It's time to use your mojo.
Also known as Hindi. Now, where is the Latin country?
Latin America.
No,
I know better.
What I'm doing, I'm refining to show you how the mind control works and how the nom de guerre are actually spells cast to get the people to agree to be different from their pedigree or bloodline, not knowing it makes them non-descendable legally. Because remember, for the vampire to have what you call entry claim, they make a request and you answer or consent, meaning they do this. They don't just come in, you let them in. What did we do with the hybrids? We had compassion for them, taught them how to grow food, welcomed them in our homes, showed them medicine, and as soon as they got power, they started killing us off. And they never changed the pattern. Never changed the pattern. Another example, Mummers Parade in Philadelphia, blackface, what they call blackface. Boston Harbor, Tea Party, they did the blackface and then wore feathers. And then threw tea into the harbor so it looked like the indigenous people. Because you got to remember, Indian also referenced what you call classification, not identification. So the indigenous people, or what you call also indigo people, that refer to noir, or what you call the dark or the melanated people. That's a designation, that's not an identification. Now, this is where you will see, even in military operations around the world right now, when we mention that one of their practices, logistical practices, is always do things in what you call proxy masking. Proxy masking is one, hiding behind someone else's name and doing things to someone else so that when the response comes, it goes to the proxy target and not to them, who is really the puppeteer. As an example, give you another example. When they did the war in Vietnam, right? Proxy. They attacked one of their own ships and said that the Vietnamese did it in order to justify the moral high ground to attack Vietnam. Real mission was to take over the tin and other resources.
So can I add a little bit more to that history? So not only did they do that, but the commander of that particular ship was his last name was Morrison. Some of you who are familiar with the rock and roll days remember Jim Morrison and the Doors. That was his son. That was his son. But not only was that his son, but many of the so-called rock and roll groups of that era, the Vietnam era, the mamas and the papas, were children, mostly sons of military men, and who were taught over on the East Coast in Maryland and places, and transplanted over to California to start the hippie culture as a distraction to what was going on.
In actuality.
So what they wanted this peace and love, and hippie culture was supposed to be a distraction away from the actual war that they started by a false flag operation, as you said.
Because the real deal is to claim the land. This is why it's important for people to know the history. That the hybrids have no birthright. This is why their whole history is that of vandalism, stealing. In other words, and also doing proxy. As an example, what you'll see today, like say in this area right here, right? In this area, right? This is Nanakoki area, right? This is Nanakoki area, right? So what do? They draw a line, then they put their name on it. Then what they do, they poison the water. I'm telling you what they actually did in this area. Poison the water to start killing off the Nanakoki. Some of the toxins still exist in this area, right? And they hide that. And some of the residuals has caused a lot of the cancers that people have had in the last 20 some like years. That the different cancers that people think is some kind of other situation. No, it comes from the hybrids poisoning the water here and poisoning part of the land in order to kill off the Nanakoki, which is us. When you go into the records of the Delaware, you'll see that the Nanakoki are Moors. It's no secret. Now, people who want to play the Indian game thinking they're going to get a benefit from Calhoun and them desperately will call themselves Indians. That's not who we are. It's who we ever been. However, you don't argue with people who cling to that, because as time passes and all the information comes out, not only are you going to find them to be mistaken, some of the others are plants who have been promoting that. You understand? Thinking it, and because they got into that cycle, they don't want to admit their hypocrisy.
Do you think it's possible of they're misinformed to?
We know that some of them are misinformed.
Well, here's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Because we do know that there are people who can trace their family lineage on the land, on this landmass, going back, and that they did and were the people that were depicted in some of the depictions of and called Indians, but they did not call
exactly.
They did not call themselves
exactly.
Indians.
Exactly.
They may have had clan names,
exactly,
groups, but they were not Indians.
Exactly.
Because I wanted to make that clear, because I know that a lot of folks are saying, "Well, I'm," even you'll say, "I'm Anna Yanwia" and all that, but you don't. That's not Indian. That's
Moorish.
That's Moorish clan.
What they classified as Indian?
Class of misclassified.
Meaning that, like our Anna Yanwia would be Cherokee,
right?
And many of the people are Cherokee, but we know that Cherokee is a corruption. And so, for communication understanding, we'll say that to people that we know who don't know the history. Why? Because they will argue and want to fight to protect their miseducation. And it's easier sometimes to go along in some places to get along with interjection of truth so that you don't get with the karma. Now, one of the problems that we have is people who know the truth will go along to get along, not knowing that they're casting a spell if they don't tell the truth included in their explanation. It's better to say nothing than to continue the lie, which is what makes a lot of scholars upset with Moors, because Moors spoils not only the programming of the hybrid European, it also spoils the programming of many of us who are kin to us, who have desperately connected to the Nam de Gir to make it real, because benefits were given to them. Mm-hmm. As an example, with this Nam de Gir, that's really the seat of the throne of the Inquisition operations. Inquisition, what you call the headquarters for the IRS, mm-hmm. is located there. Right? Now, with those, many of those who, because remember, a part of the operations of the hybrid, even taking over the land here, was taking this Nam de Gir and having them fight each other.
Right.
Which is why that as soon as you get into this is where you get a lot of them who want to fight the real history, because remember, they've been getting a benefit from the hybrid.
Yeah, the BIA.
Yeah, yes. Now, that didn't exist with us. Calhoun created that. That's to control those who were willing to play that game. It doesn't mean that we condemn them for trying to survive. But we do challenge, without arguing with them, the scholars who promoted this among our people, which maintains the schism. This is why you'll see one of the first ones that will jump up publicly to try to counter the real history will come under this Nam de Gir. That's by design. Mm-hmm. No different than Geronimo's bones are used in Skull and Bones as a conquest symbol. And then at the same time, all of those same secret societies will wear the Moorish fez as a token of conquest. That's why you see all them wear the Moorish fez. You already know that's not Europe. That's not hybrid Europeans, right? While everybody's pretending that they don't know who the Moors are, like they have no connection. Now, when Obama went and exposed what he exposed, you already know, a lot of people got mad at that because he wouldn't say black, right? And even when he went on Tom Joyner's show, and they said, he asked him, he said, "Well, Mr. Obama, how does it feel to be the first black president of the United States?" And he says, "I'm not black. Black's a dead status." You know how many people got mad at him?
Because they didn't know.
He ain't never done that for a black man. He was telling the truth.
Right.
Right now, but you don't get into that, meaning that we have so much work to do. The truth of the matter is the time for arguing with pseudo scholarship, because that's part of the thing. They always want us to debate so that we don't have time to actually give out real information. See, while you're sitting around arguing with people like that, you're missing this, and this is documented. This is their operations. How many people